Hey, my name is Jordan Joyce, and I'm here at ProMotion Studios on Market Square in Knoxville, Tennessee. This song is called Passing Ships. I saw you singing underneath the street lamp light, whispering wind into my sails, singing it's all gonna be alright. I saw some. Oh, oh, oh. I will never forget the bricks on my feet, the summer air, and the beat of my heart when the devil grabbed my hand. He stole my body, ripped it away so fast I couldn't feel. Led me to things I never wanted to believe. He laid me down in that hole in the ground and shoveled in every little piece of me that I had to give till I was no more. By the sound of a flickering lantern, by the cold towels on the mirror in the bathroom, did you see me bleed out on the floor? I heard it coming like a roaring freight train, from a soft vibration to a sound so frightening, but I was always tied down to those tracks. And if this nightmare doesn't kill me, the road I'm walking on will do just fine. And I know when you lay down to die, you open your eyes. Why doesn't anyone come to me, hold me down, tell me this is a dream, turn me around, show me the door? Another round, stop by the payphone beside the catacombs, and I'm never going home. Well, I'm coming down, drive like a lost child, checking for dial tones, and I'll ring and we roam. Son, you're not around. When the morning comes, oh, now line it up, another round, followed a lost soul from the smokestack to the pines, through the indigo night. Well, I'm coming down, drive like a lost child, through the chimney smoke we fly, and I swear that I'll ride. Son, you're not alone. When the morning comes, every breath I take, every last mistake, oh, now line it up. Every breath I take, every last mistake, over and over, I feel you there, coming in waves, and you run through the day like a ghost. What can I do? Where do I go? Oh, now line it up, you're not alone. And the morning comes, oh, son, you're not alone. And the morning comes, oh, and line it
Welcome to the ProMotion Studios. Today we're joined by Jordan Joyce. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So a little bit about your musical background. You got started with a Virginia-based band, Gallows Bound. When did you guys form that band?
Oh man, I think we started playing music together. We all kind of grew up together, and it was very loosely formed. We would just kind of play on street corners and busk and jam around campfires and stuff like that. So maybe like 2011, yeah, something like that.
Awesome. Well, you guys have had an enormous amount of success, toured internationally, and had quite a few successful albums. Played some fantastic shows, opened for some awesome people, but now you're doing the solo stuff.
Yeah.
What was the idea behind getting out there and doing the solo?
I think I just I really wanted to try out some different avenues musically. With the band, we were kind of limited to like our specific instrumentation. And I'd always imagine like, well, what would it be like to do, like a song with like strings or a full electric, and just kind of playing around with like production stuff. And so I wanted to kind of play with that. And then when everything shut down, I had the time to kind of get into that project. And that just kind of like snowballed into, just reaching out to my agent, and we started talking about solo tours. So like I'm doing a little bit of solo stuff here and there, like singer-songwriter things, but mainly just building just a bigger like musical atmosphere, if that makes sense.
Broaden those horizons, so to speak. Yeah. So have you always been a songwriter, or is this something that just kind of came with you as the solo stuff came to mind?
I think it just came with me as a human on the planet. Yeah, I don't know how I remember when I was a kid writing, like I got a little 3/4 size classical acoustic guitar when I was
with
like
the slick
9.
nylon strings
yes,
and everything.
Well, you need nylon strings when you're, a little kid too. You can't play those steel strings. But yeah, so I had that, and I remember I remember vividly like sitting on the kitchen floor with my mom, like cooking or something, and just like playing a song to her that I had written, and I've always kind of like enjoyed writing, but it was never something that I like pursued like technically. It was always just like more of a art thing, you know what I mean?
Just an exposure to the music.
I don't know, it's just the way it happens.
Well, it definitely served you well, the formation of the band and everything.
Yes.
So you've been working on the debut, I guess, solo album?
Yeah, so I spent some time working on a record, and that's just kind of how it all started, like, over 2020. A
lot of people had downtime, and the creative people, I think, really felt that hit. It was like, I got to do something.
Absolutely. And I really gave my life to music. So, like when I was home, I'm a tattoo artist as well. And so my tattoo shop, like obviously that shut down. There was no more touring. We were actually on tour in Canada when everything started shutting down. And so it was like, going home and sitting. And it was kind of like I almost felt like I had to do it. I don't know how I would have gotten through that time had I not had some sort of creative like project to kind of keep me centered in some way. And I think a lot of the musicians that I ended up reaching out to and connecting with over that time really felt that. Like, I mean, a lot of my friends, we've made friends through touring. So like checking in with people and things like that, but also just
how you holding up?
Yeah. And everybody was like, you get stir crazy when you're not used to being home for more than, 3 weeks at a time. Like, I mean, my band would tour. We toured
very relentlessly.
Hardcore. Yeah. For like 5 solid years. We toured where we maybe were home for like a month tops, so staring down the barrel of like, being home for that long and not knowing, just all of that uncertainty. And I mean, of course, we all went through that, but having something to keep me creative was like, I think, a lifesaver in some ways. And so I reached out to my producer, who's named Pete Steinkoff. He's in a band called The Bouncing Souls. And like we talked about doing something before, and like it was already kind of in the works, and he was like, I would love to work on that with you, because he had worked on a Gallows Bound record. So I told him my idea for the project, and then when that happened, it was like, okay, like as soon as we can get up there, we're going to get up there and get into the studio. And his schedule obviously was also on a standstill, so so there was just this little interesting container for us to get into, just creating and kind of knowing like eventually we're going to go back out and be on the road, and what can we do, so it was a cool way to connect with everybody and stay connected in a time when everything was so disconnected. And it created a very interesting, like, it just created a very interesting project because of it.
Because you feel like you are so insulated, and isolated, but you can still reach out to the community.
Yeah.
You can still have that kind of community-based project. You're working with people in other cities and, sending files off.
Yeah.
So you can still collaborate.
Right.
and it's just working around those other hurdles to get everything done. That's really cool. Being able to work with Pete, somebody with that punk rock pedigree, obviously fits with the Gallows Bound sound.
Yeah.
What was it like bringing your solo stuff to him?
It was really cool. This is it was such a new thing. This is all very new and just like debut for me. So taking something that's like, I have these ideas for songs and I'd like to, I know some certain instrumentation that I want to do, but I really wanted to work with a producer and I wanted to just, here it is, like me and my guitar. And if we were completely unlimited on what we could do,
What
like,
do you hear here?
Yeah, like we can put in whatever we want. And I think that it was just a cool opportunity. And I knew that Pete came from the punk rock world, but like his musical interests are so vast. I think as a producer, no matter what genre,
you got to kind of have an ear for it all.
It's your job to just kind of pull out the sparkle, the best parts of the song.
Yeah, that's a great way, the sparkle, absolutely.
So it was great working with him, and just being open to seeing what happens. Like it wasn't like, it was so fluid for that reason,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really cool, and it's definitely like more indie Americana electric kind of stuff, like, which was really fun for me coming from like this bluegrassy punk rock thing, I'm like, finally I get to sing.
I get to
with
slow
electric
some
guitars.
things down.
Yeah, slow it down. There's like strings and keys, and then also just getting to kind of like
Moody.
have a little more rock and roll vibes in
Yeah.
there too. And because I come from the punk scene, like tried and true. That's where I grew up with that, and so it's cool to just like, it just all organically blends together as like, this is who I am as a person. I grew up in the Blue Ridge Mountains. I love punk music.
What do you? Okay, and this is an interesting question. I think the connection between punk rock and bluegrass to me is so. It's a very semi-permeable membrane because the two are so similar.
Yeah.
Bluegrass, you gotta go fast, balls to the wall, and those chords change quick.
Yeah, that's
Punk
true.
rock, it's a very similar mentality,
It's
and that's
funny
why
that, like,
they blend so well.
That's true. It's like, and nobody really. I mean, you're like right in Tennessee too,
Yeah.
so you probably like get to see a lot more of both sides of that, maybe.
Well, I feel like it's even like it's folk music because I
Yeah.
think of like bands like Pinata Protest. I think you guys might have shared a.
Oh, I don't know, maybe I'm not sure.
They've got like that Spanish mariachi
Yeah.
influence with punk, kind
Yeah.
of like the Bronx.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the folk music's just because they blend so well and because they come from that same kind of DIY mentality.
Yeah, that's true.
But you also mentioned being a tattoo artist.
Yes.
You only have one visible tattoo.
I do. Yeah, I'm not heavily tattooed. I grew up in a tattoo shop, so that was like I was like,
So artistically,
Ever since I was a
you
kid.
got the visual and
Yeah.
like you can draw well and write music.
Yeah,
so.
I was definitely like more. I was just in a creative environment. I think
That's awesome.
Encouraged with that. So.
So you must be very particular with the tattoos that you get. There's
Yeah,
got to
I
be
am.
a story behind that one. Then.
Yeah, this definitely, and yeah, like I grew up in a shop, so I think it was like more rebellious for me to not be covered in tattoos because it was the norm.
The
for me.
antithesis, yeah.
Yeah, it was totally normal for me to just be around like that whole world, So, and I think that like also opened me up to, like when I think that when I started high school, like the day before I started ninth grade, my dad took me to go see the Sex Pistols at the 930 Club.
What?
Like, yeah, like we just, or
In
like
DC?
the first pit I ever got into was like GBH and the Circle Jerks when I was like 13. You know what I mean?
In DC,
So,
like
yeah.
in one of the most legendary like punk rock clubs.
Yeah,
too.
so I mean, like I just kind of I definitely grew up in that world, And
That's awesome.
And then he was a tattooer that would go on to, he did like got on Ozfest. He like tattooed on that for a while. So he
He's just like the backstage tattoo
yeah,
guy.
there's like always been a thing with like tattooers and musicians.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think,
absolutely.
It's like they go together pretty well too. So, but I just grew up with that like kind of starry-eyed thing with shows because we would like get backstage every once in a while or like hang out and meet the band at the 930 Club. You could always like you could hang out after the show, and it was like
They
the
were there.
perfect size
Yeah.
club because you still got to feel like you were in a big show, but then the band would come around after and you got to meet them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I've always had like there's just so much wonder and love and passion in all of it, and music and live shows and stuff. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
So when can people expect the debut solo album out?
That's a great question, and the answer to that is
Question
yet
mark.
to be determined.
Sometime.
Yes.
It's recorded. It's
Sometime.
done.
Yeah. So we had this cool project, and I'm just kind of right now I'm working on like I'm just in the middle of my first solo tour. It's all new. It's just kind of just like a stay tuned situation.
Having toured for 5 years plus with a full band,
Yeah.
what's the difference in touring solo?
Everything
Easier, more difficult?
I would say it is. There's a completely new set of challenges, and I think that's the beautiful thing about music and being in the world that we're in, where it's like there's always something to learn. There's always room to grow, and just when I think I've like got one thing going, then you can always advance, So for me, my goal isn't to stay a singer-songwriter, but to be able to, as far as like performance-wise, but to be able to tap into that, it's giving me the opportunity to really look at my songs under a microscope and to work on being a performer. And how do you stay genuine? Like it's like when you have an acoustic guitar and you're just one person, it feels weird to be like, are you guys ready? You know what I mean? Like getting everybody really stoked like
it's a more vulnerable thing.
Yeah, it's not like that, So it's very vulnerable. And I think that this whole process of like, so going solo, it's like, I am responsible.
Can't pass the buck to anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You wrote the song, so it's like I'm responsible for the energy I bring into the room. I'm responsible for, these songs and this story. And how do I want to present that to the world? And, that is just to be determined. Like, I'm just in it. I'm just like along for the ride right now. And everything I've ever done musically, I never knew where it was going to take me. Like with Gallows Bound, it all just came from heart and soul and a group of kids that, had fun playing music. And I think that's the full
genuine. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's heart, and it comes from a very genuine place. And so like anything that happened was cool, Like we started playing on the street and people were like, "You guys want to play in here?" And we're like, "Yeah, totally."
Totally cool.
And then we just kind of kept doing that. And next thing you know, we're like in a tour bus in Europe. I'm like walking down this like, the St. Charles Bridge in Prague, and I'm like, the music that,
I got paid to come here.
Yeah, like it's just like it carried me, you
Yeah.
know? And so I think like just like with that, I have these songs and they mean the world to me, and I'm just kind of letting them lead the way, with good intention, So,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Jordan, check her out online, jordanjoyes.com,
Yes,
Joyes. And stay tuned. Keep an eye out for that new solo
tuned.
album. Keep an ear out for that. Any other socials, things like that you want to shout out?
I think that's pretty much it. My website, Instagram.
You can Google Jordan Joyes.
Just Jordan
Joyes.
Yes.
Very important. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below. That way you don't miss another ProMotion live session.